mate. Right, Tim. Well, firstly, thank you for coming. Very exciting time for the team. Selected a very strong team. Had a great preparation. We're really looking forward to the Six Nations. The tournament's shaping up well. A lot of teams in form, a lot of teams moving in the right direction. And our first assignment is France at home. France have been on the improve steadily under Guy Novez. They've really got their passion back for the game. What we can't afford to do on Saturday is allow them to play with that French flair. So we've got to be, very disciplined, very rigorous in the way we play early in the game, set the platform for the game, and we've got a very strong bench to finish it off for us. So we've prepared well. We're looking forward to it, guys. So we're happy to answer any questions you have or any queries you have.
And before we talk selection for Saturday, can you give us any update on George Cruz's knee injury?
Well, he's with the surgeon now. The surgeon's having a look at him, so we'll get more information this afternoon. But we haven't given up hope of him being available for the Six Nations.
And Elliot Daly starts ahead of Jack Noel. Is that always going to be the case, or because Noel missed Tuesday's training, that we make you rethink this decision?
Well, Elliot did superbly for us in the autumn. He gives us an advantage on the left wing. He's got a big left foot kick. He kicks penalty goals from 50 metres. And he's got genuine pace, and he can play as a third centre for us. And the way we want to attack France, that's going to be important. So it's more of a horses for courses. Jack's absence had nothing to do with selection.
Joe Marler's powers of recovery are pretty remarkable, aren't they? How big a beast will he be?
He's a top class test prop. Before he's whatever you want to call it in the last Six Nations. He was the form loose head of the Six Nations, so we're glad to have him back. He's fit. He's got through some rigorous training. He looks mentally and physically ready to go.
And Maro Toje in the back row, what do you hope and expect from him?
Well, he's got big shoes to fill. Chris Robshaw's been one of our integral players in the team, high work rate, magnificent in defence, and then does the small things in attack. So we want him to do those things. Then plus he brings his line-out skills, which makes Steve Borthwick very happy, because now we've got a third jumper going into the game instead of 2.5. So, it's a great opportunity for Maro to show his versatility. He's trained well in that position, and we believe he can make a really good fist of it.
You talked a few weeks ago about his challenge of 2017 being distraction and complacency. Have you sensed anything of that from your players in the build-up?
Little bits here and there. We had a little bit in the meeting the other night. So it's always going to be there, and it's not something you ever get rid of. It's not like fungus, you can just put an antifungal spray and it goes. It's always there, it stays there. And it's just a continual awareness that, we focus on what's important now. We don't look back at what we've done. We don't look too far forward. We just get on with the next thing we've got to do, and the next thing we've got to do is to play France on Saturday.
And how did you put a stop to it?
We have lovely discussions. Arsenal was a good example on Thursday night. I'm sure your husband would have enjoyed that. They go there, second in the comp, they're at home, aren't they? Second in the comp, playing against a team that hasn't won for 7 games. If they score a lucky first goal, second goal goes in, it's 2-0, and then the team wakes up. If we do that against France, we're going to be in trouble because they can score some points. So it's really important we're in the game right from the start, and it's here. It's up here in the head. And it's not thinking we've done things right. It's not thinking we've had a great preparation. It's what we've got to do next.
Neil, how good does Marler look, and do you know what his secret of recovery is?
He says he's been drinking lots of milk. So now he's been absolutely outstanding. Him and Dan Cole, particularly the last sort of 2 weeks, that the way that they've grabbed this forward pack and are starting to move it forward as players has been absolutely outstanding. So, like Eddie said, you know, he looks fit and raring to go.
And Steve, if you, I guess, going to lose an injury anywhere, you're well stocked in the second row, aren't you? What can you expect from Lawes and Rugby on the weekend?
Yeah, we're all obviously disappointed for George to get injured and wish him well with his recovery, speedy recovery. We've got depth in that position. We've got competition for places, and the guys you just mentioned played very well in the autumn. Both Courtney and Joe played well, and expect them to go and play hard again this weekend.
Eddie, the one change we haven't mentioned from the end of the autumn would be Johnny May. Someone who's so talented, had such a bad injury a while ago. Do you see the real signs of his true potential coming back again now consistently?
Well, you never know with Johnny. Yeah, he's an unusual character, but certainly he's getting his speed back. Our strength and conditioning staff's done a great job with him with Gloucester, and certainly, I think he can be a really world-class finisher. With Anthony out for a short period of time, Johnny's got to fill those boots, and he's going to fill them well.
And talking of great jobs, you come in with obviously Joe Marler, Dylan Hartley, Joe Launchby, James Haskell, all with limited game time recently for various reasons. How happy with how everyone's worked to get them up to speed for what you need?
Well, the strength and conditioning staff and the medical staff have done a great job, but the ultimate test is the game, and the game's on Saturday, and we're confident we'll get 80 minutes out of each position.
And you mentioned obviously the flair that Guy Neves has helped to bring to French rugby again, and that kind of pomp, but that really brutal pack is such a key area, isn't it? Just tell me how you've been working for that physicality that you'll probably expect as well.
Well, to me, it's a given in rugby. You don't play rugby unless you're physical. So if we need to talk about the players about being physical, we're playing the wrong sport, and our guys don't play the wrong sport. So we've got to front up, do the business like going down the coal mine every day. You just got to do the business in there, and our players will do it.
And you've obviously trained extremely hard, as we know clearly. A couple of guys have picked up knocks over the course of training. Is that just, unfortunately, part and parcel of when you work hard pre-tournament?
We haven't trained extremely hard. We've trained appropriately to play Test rugby. And injuries are part of rugby, unfortunately. It's a contact sport. You don't want to have contact, you play volleyball.
Paul, for people who watch Six Nations from my generation kind of have this instinct that when France turn up, it will be like Serge Blanco as the one running the ball from his own 22 and all those memories. Is that still in French rugby, do you think? Has it been so long since we've seen that kind of style that they're almost programmed to play differently?
Well, seeing recent pictures of Serge Blanco, I wouldn't mind if he was playing, to be honest. But I think, look, I think the way the French play, we've alluded to it there, they've got a very strong set piece, big forwards, they've got a power game there. But outside that, with the two lads they've got in the wing, they've got the ability to run from anywhere. So look, we have to be fully on guard, fully alert, expect the unexpected. I think we prepared well, but obviously we have to now action that on Saturday.
Thing is, you go to Portugal and it's great to be out there and it's nice climbing and everything. I wasn't there, but I assume it was. And then you come and you have a typical kind of early February day. I mean, I guess you might have to change it depending on the kind of weather you get. I mean, things like that can change the game plan, can it?
Well, yeah, it can do, of course, but it's the same for both teams, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's who can adapt well, who recognises the opportunity, because with weather changing, be it wet, be it dry, be it hot, be it cold, there's an opportunity for somebody to exploit that. So we've got brilliant generals with Owen Farrell, George Ford, Ben Youngs, Danny Kerr, to direct play, to direct traffic, to put us in the right position.
Steve, do you think that the future of being a second row forward for all second rows is that you have to have some flexibility and you can play back row as well? Or is it just outstanding individuals like Itoje who were able to do that?
I think Maro's versatility is obviously a bonus. I think, and it's a great strength of his. I think the players at international level, if you're good enough, and it doesn't necessarily mean you have to play back row as well. We've got people that are top quality second rows. That's their position, and they do that unbelievably well. And if you're good enough, you'll be an international player.
Eddie, could I just ask, where do you get your continued inspiration from as a coach? I know there's lots of sort of leaders that you look to. I presume maybe Donald Trump wouldn't be one of them, but is there other people in the kind of political world that you take inspiration from when you're planning the way you go about it?
Well, I think you get the inspiration from the players. Inspiration comes working with good players, and we've got a great group of players here. We've got a group of players who want to get better, and that's where you get the inspiration from. I'm not a political person. I don't know how that Donald Trump stuff, I don't know how that started, but because I said something about him, and he's convinced people to vote a certain way. But no, not from the politics.
And what about that whole atmosphere that goes on in the Six Nations? You're the second year into it. You know that better England are going to be. That will only increase the motivation for other teams to express this traditional rivalry, to bring you down a peg or two.
Yeah, well, we don't control the motivation of the other teams. We just control ourselves, and we know what we're going to face against France at Twickenham. We're going to face a side that's desperate for success. They're under pressure to play with the French flair. The coach has been talking about that. They want to play like that. And that puts a certain pressure on them. So, for us, they're coming to Twickenham, our home ground, with pressure to play a certain way. And to play with traditional French flair is difficult. And so we expect it to be difficult for them.
Eddie, when you were told that Joe broke his leg in around January the 7th, how realistic did you immediately at that point think, or we've lost him for the Six Nations, and how impressed have you been with the medical staff and the work they've done there?
Well, I don't think there was ever a doubt he was going to play. The diagnosis was 3 or 4 weeks. He wants to play. He does all the right things. He lives by the sea at Brighton, which also helps. I really think it does. And there's studies to show that the sea air and the seawater helps you recuperate better. And so it was just a matter of time whether he could get his confidence back from the injury, and he's got his confidence back. He's desperate to play. We've picked 23 players today, and we've had to leave out 11 players that are also desperate to play for England. Then you look at outside of that squad, and there's guys who are desperate to play. So people want to take their opportunity and grab that jersey because they know they only borrow it for 80 minutes, and they want to use that jersey as well as they can for 80 minutes.
Neil, just on that confidence point, how did you go about testing to see if Joe was confident and was able to sort of carry the load on his leg?
Those of you who know Joe, it's more a case of sort of trying to hold him back because he's pitching himself into it. So, like Eddie said, the medics and the S&C have been absolutely brilliant. The stages that we've built up through, leading into Portugal and in Portugal and now post-Portugal, he's ticked every box, and like I said, it's been more a case of holding him back than having to push him forward.
Neil, the French pack in the autumn, they were pretty good at set piece, particularly the scrum. What do you view as the relative strengths of both the sides going into this big one?
They're big. It's a hell of a big pack, and Steve alluded to it a little bit there. We're going to have to make sure that our basics are exceptional, especially if the surface is a bit slippery. So, today's help, Tuesday's help. So, we've made sure that we focused on, the things that we can control and the basics that we need to do exceptionally well in order to get the results that we're looking for.
And Eddie, given how much you've talked about wanting to improve England's set piece, do you feel that this is going to be the toughest test that they will have had so far, given how good France are looking in that area?
What's the next test?
Paul, would you mind talking about the make of the back row? First time we've seen that particular trio together. What is it that excites you about that 6-7?
They're all good players. Firstly, I think Steve mentioned it there before. The number on the back is irrelevant really in the back five of the scrum. They all require to do certain things: tackle, carry the ball, clean. The advantage of someone like Maro is his line-out work is exceptional as well, so it gives us an extra string to that part of a game. But after that, we're looking for work rate. Eddie mentioned that Chris Robshaw, his defensive effort's huge. He's making plus 20 tackles a game. So Maro has to complement that, and if we don't get it from Maro, we need to pick up the pieces elsewhere. So there's all responsibilities to do, but fundamentally 3 very good players and 2 guys on the bench that can also add massive impact.
On the emotional side of the game, given that you all know English, not French, what this particular game means to you?
Well, I've been honoured to have the job of coaching England. So the emotional impact of the game on me is enormous, because this is a side I love and this is a side I want to play well. So I don't know how I can express that. Is there a French term I can use?
Yeah, we can discuss.
Give it to me, I'll try. I'll try my year 7 French.
It's say it's going to be a tough game.
Okay. I could mention that, yeah. No, well, and as a kid I grew up watching England-France play, and what always probably intrigued me was the contrast in the styles. Particularly in the old days where you had guys like Jean-Pierre Reeves and, what was his name, the centre? Seller and Blanco on the wings and Philip Saint-Andre, they used to move the ball beautifully. Not textbook-like, but then they'd run great lines. And you had England who were traditionally more dogged, play a tighter game. So you had these contrasting styles, which was always, fascinating to watch when you're learning about rugby. And I remember our high school teacher used to get us up there and watch the two teams play and talk about, the different approaches to the game. So, I think it's always a historic game, and certainly the history between France and England. We've got one staff member who's into history, Guzzy. So there's been 20 wars, hasn't it, between England and France? 20 wars. So that's a lot of rivalry there. So we've got another one happening on Saturday.
How do you think the French have progressed since last year?
Beautifully. I think Novez is doing a really good job. He's got his selection right. He knows how he wants to play, knows how he wants to unleash the French flair, which is through offloads. They're the highest offloading team in Test rugby. And so because of that, they play, what could be termed a second phase game. And because they've got people with feet and with people's ability to run gaps, they become a very dangerous team if you allow them to open up that flair.
Thank you very much.